To follow from the children and their voice, and I feel more nervous now than I did standing for the TEDx stage. I was like, how am I meant to get up here and talk when there's such wisdom and practical-based solutions and just so articulate? But I want to start today by asking you to reflect for a moment and just think about where you played as a child. I ask that question a lot because what I do. Because it helps us instantly reflect on a simpler time as a child. Anyone here above the age of 30 would agree, and we all know children are playing outdoors less. So they're having less physical activity, less freedom, and becoming more unwell. With the World Health Organization declaring an emergency on the state of children's physical activity. And quite embarrassingly, out of 146 countries, ranking Australia, any guesses? At 140th. So as parents and caretakers and being here today, what can we do about it? We all want to protect children from harm, and we should. But where does that cross the line from protection, as we heard, the helicopters, the plough parenting, and become overprotection? As a father myself, I know that protection comes from a place of love. And in recent times, we've mainly protected our children from, previously it was all mostly physical harm, but recent times we've moved into a realm of protecting our children of what feels like everything, including disappointment, disagreements, and even failure. It's in dealing with our normal setbacks that children turn into resilient adults. And overcoming failures independently is what contributes to children's self-fulfillment. It's not us telling them what to do. It's not us defining those benchmarks, those timelines. And it's not the doing. Children live in that being world, and we come in with our doing lens. And that's where we hear from children. That's where that conflict lies, and that's where the friction is. Our children's intrinsic motivation is to play, is to explore, to experience, use all their senses, touch, feel, taste. Nature's that perfect arena for that. And it's through play where they not only discover their strengths, but they discover their weaknesses. And discovering their weaknesses is just as important. These are the foundations for the children to grow up into a happy, healthy, and resilient adult. Take this seed. The growth of this seed is determined by the environment in which it grows. If this seed does not get sun, soil, and water, it will fail to reach its full potential. So we have to ask ourselves, what environments are we all creating for our children to grow in? If we're constantly standing in front of them to protect them from failing, from climbing, getting dirty, getting wet, slipping, grazing, we are standing in front of them and blocking their sun for them to grow. As parents and caretakers of this community, we need to stop trying to do the growing for them. As Hayano mentioned, designing and constructing playgrounds, I've been fortunate enough to discover, not only on my own behalf, but by listening to the children and hearing what they have to say, as we've had evidence here today. And I agree, it comes down to giving our children time, freedom, and possibilities. They need time to be a child. They have a right to that childhood. Imagine the impact on a child if they spent just half the amount engaged in outdoor play as they do engaged in screens. With children under 10, and a study in 2015 saying that children are spending an average of 4.5 hours a day engaged in screens. And 10-year-olds and above, they're getting over 7 to 10 hours a day. And that's not study, that's not schoolwork, that's actually recreational screen time. And I'm not the anti-screen guy, you know. Screens are valuable, they serve their purpose. However, my children get screens, but play is a priority. They need, there we go. There's my motivation. That's my daughter there. And that's what we don't want. Possibilities. Possibilities to engage with elements in the environment that can be used in different ways. We have all suffered the torment of giving a child a gift, only for them to throw the gift away and be more interested in the box. Yeah. Why is that? Because the box is possibilities. It's the cave, it's the lemonade stand, it's the adventure. It gets them moving, not just physically, but emotionally and socially. As a child diagnosed with ADHD, I completely understand the importance of having to move. As a child, I was what the teachers kept telling my parents. He's busy, even too busy. And sure enough, my busyness did spill into the classroom, and then my parents did receive that call. Lukas needs to be tested. He's always looking out the window, he's rocking on his chair, and his feet always swinging. So within days, my 8-year-old self, I was diagnosed and medicated. And sure enough, my feet stopped swinging. It took me the next 9 years to discover what I needed in my environment for me to thrive. For me to focus and understand concepts, I need to move. This is why I literally have to hold on to this thing. Otherwise, I'll be all over the shop. And hence the notes. Otherwise, this could be a 3-hour talk. And the 3-hour talks are 8-hour talks. But even if I can break something down to understand it, that's even better. So it's no surprise today I find myself creating play environments for all children to get moving. And it all started when I worked full-time as an outdoor educator in early childhood. I got to see firsthand the type of things that inspired children, but equally I observed so many children scared, nervous, anxious about getting dirty, getting wet, being challenged and failing. But I wanted to make it my mission to be able to create that spark of enjoyment and curiosity in as many children as possible. So now working with organisations, as many as possible, and I keep annoying them, I've seen firsthand what's needed in an environment for children to thrive. And it doesn't have to be complicated. So it's pretty simple, right? And it's about all children. I love that. It doesn't have to be complicated. As you can see outside, we've got the 30-foot shipping container. This is a picture where it was gracefully plonked at the last childhood summit. There's 6 tonnes of mulch, 100 hay bales and 50 trees. Yes, it was messy. You're familiar. You can see those clean people look over the balcony and go, oh. Yes, it was risky, but it was freedom. Freedom because of those possibilities. Freedom because we've created that environment for children to grow how they want to grow. This is the same container gracefully flipped down to Cobargo in rural New South Wales. We send it down there to support a school recovering from the worst bushfires in recent memory. There was, out of 80 families, 16 children lost their homes. 1 child lost his uncle and grandfather. So right around the school, all burnt. So we plonked that in there. And I opened the doors up and stood on the outskirts to some very nervous teachers that I had to distract as they started saying, "Be careful." I had one child that summed it up perfectly and really hit me and motivated to see this reach communities. And he ran past and he said, "I can't believe you're letting us do this." And I caught him as he scattered off. I said, "What are you talking about? Do what?" And he said, "Let us have fun." And I went for a drive around that area just before I went to the school, and it was brutal. Like, the fire station next door and the house next door was burnt down. So dealing with a lot. And for the child to say, "You're actually letting us have fun," really stuck with me. And that's great evidence of allowing the children to speak. We need to hear this vulnerability that we forget as adults, that we get busy doing. And it just gave me more motivation, and it got me thinking, yes, we can create environments, we can do all these initiatives. But if we don't create the possibilities and make this play accessible and give them permission, and not just permission to play, but permission to have a childhood, it really concerns me, as I asked you at the start where you reflected on as you were a child and where you played, and I'm really concerned for the future generations where they're going to reflect. Where are they going to reflect on and think about their childhood? I love the saying, no one remembers their best day of TV. But it's permission to have a child and permission to allow ourselves to trust that child. And we're hearing that voice time and time again. We have to trust that they're capable and they're well informed enough to keep themselves safe and make informed decisions. And we see that. When I asked you earlier where you played as a child, put your hand up if you thought outdoors. Yeah? Keep it up if you thought a tree. Yeah? Keep your hand up if you got hurt sometimes. And more hands go up. Now, look at the faces of the people around you when they put up their hands. Did you get hurt? Oh, yeah. That tells us two things. It was a memorable experience. It took you straight back there instantly. And it was a positive one. But then think about the voices we've heard today. Are the children getting the same respect? One generation down the track. With the average of freedom of play going from 1 kilometre to eyesight in one generation. As you engage with that tree, it offers this beautiful arena to demonstrate how children learn through challenge. As they engage with the branches, they pull themselves up and their bodies are flooded with those positive endorphins and hormones. They are encouraged to reach beyond what they thought was possible. Reach for new heights, and their effort is rewarded with those chemicals. And it motivates them, inspires them to reach beyond what they thought was possible. And when they fall, because we fall, right? Because that happens in life. I think one of the biggest services we can do to children in play is to overprotect them and give them the impression that life's easy. Do you imagine a child has to have every learning experience in those informative years that offers a framing and understanding that transitions into adult life? It's those same things that encourages them, inspires them when they fall to stand up, dust themselves off and try again. We all know that it's the victories that we have in life during the most challenging of times that are the most rewarding and the most memorable. And every time we're overprotecting our children, we're stripping away that reward. And we're stealing their joy of self-fulfillment. The simple act of free play offers a tangible understanding of themselves. They need to learn by doing, exploring, experience, not by being told or being shown. Children need to activate their bodies for that experience to last and those memories to happen. They will learn resilience, respect, and compassion that they'll carry into their adult life. These are the building blocks of well-being We all have a responsibility to create environments for all children to thrive through time, freedom, and possibilities. We cannot do the growing for them, but we can support them to stay curious, to stay adventurous, and for all children to keep their feet swinging. Thank you.